Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business, living life with a purpose, serving others, yes, achieving success. And we're going to talk to a productivity expert. So success is tied to serving, absolutely. And we believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, community leader, or simply someone looking for purpose in your daily life, this podcast is here to support you. Do me a favor, if you're listening to this recording, take a pad and paper out. If you're working out, take notes. If you're driving the car, take notes. Don't take your hand off the steering wheel because she is going to rock your world. I want you to think about it. She's rocking your world today. How are you going to serve today? And what impact you create today. That keyword is today. I've talked to people like, I haven't done it yet. It's been a few weeks. That's what happens when you don't make the decision to do it today. So just start today after you listen to the show, of course. Now, today's episode is proudly sponsored by our phenomenal partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, we're building a thought leader expert platform to impact and change the world, not just to make money, but really make a change in the world, like we're working on ending global hunger, something I'll talk about later. But with that being said, impact, when you have a servant's heart, you have an impact. It just goes together like yin and yang. That might not be a good analogy, but you guys get it out there. But how would you like to be productive, a servant's heart, and successful? My guest is going to tell us about that today. Amber, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to our chat.
You call yourself the productivity specialist. Give it to us.
Yeah, well, it was an evolution. I think with most business owners, I've been in business for almost 15 years. And when I first started out, I really thought it was going to be around organization and efficiency. So when I first started out, I was actually organizing consultant for businesses. I felt like businesses really needed help in structuring their organization. And my business actually was seeded from a servant's heart. Like I had previous experience as a business coach, specifically in real estate. And I saw very successful people that were working really hard, but they were burnt out. They had no control of their days, their time. Repeated things like, I wish I had more time to work on my business and, go after what I dreamt my business to be. And that was seeded about 10 years prior to me starting my business. And I thought, I bet I can teach this skill set. And so at first it was organization, but turns out, little marketing tip, organizing is seen as a luxury. But efficiency and productivity is not in a business. And so I switched and branded to the productivity specialist, where I specialize with service-based business owners on time management, self-management, and leading their team, all to create a business that makes an impact, for sure. I loved your intro. But also a business that does not stress them out and brings them more joy. Because when we're more joyful doing the thing we do every day, we can bring more joy to others.
Yeah, amen to that. And culture changes. And I like that you said that, about productivity. It leads to growth. It leads to culture. It leads to great things, joy, happiness, positivity. But you can't just, if you're organized, doesn't mean you're productive.
That is
what
correct.
I heard.
Yes,
Why
that
is
is what
that?
you heard. So I'm going to throw this out to you. So, have you ever met someone with a perfectly organized desk and color coded calendar that's not reaching their goals?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. And you've probably met somebody or know somebody close where you can't even see them behind their desk. They're buried. It's piles of papers. They live in their own, they would not call it chaos, but maybe others would. But they're able to really focus on the right activities. They're really able to achieve their goals. So organization is not the same thing. It does have a place. Obviously, we want to make sure we're
Mhm.
working as efficiently as possible. But productivity, how I define it, is when we are showing up, investing our best time into our best activities. And this is purposely defined as a framework because each of us are different and our goals are different. And so our best time is that focus, undistracted time where we're showing up our best. And then those best activities are going to be the ones that move the needle, that actually propel you to achieving your goals. And because all our goals are different and our personalities are a bit different, we just want to ensure that we identify those high value activities and do them on purpose and consistently. And to me, that's truly being productive. And that can show up, of course, in the context of what we're speaking about today, Steve, with business. This could lay over your health, could lay over relationships, anywhere that in your life you have goals.
Yeah, man, I'm loving this. Audience, you better be loving it too, because I am. It's simple, but it's hard. There's a lot of things out there like that. So the journey I'm hearing is productivity leads to more sales, leads to more income.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Being productive and focusing on the right activities. I have a whole framework that I teach, but essentially, no matter what your business is, even if it's a nonprofit or
Mhm.
for profit, a business needs to be profitable to make an impact and influence, and essentially needs to be healthy so that it can provide for your family, can provide for your team's family. And all of that is rooted in making revenue, thus profitability.
Now, audience, we didn't set this up. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say,
Yeah,
because that's the ultimate goal. Whether you have marketing, HR, special, this, that,
absolutely.
the ultimate goal. If we're not making money, company goes bankrupt. And we've seen a lot of that with
Yeah.
after COVID and what's happened. And probably a big part of it is not productive. Now, I was stalking you in a
Okay,
loving way,
good.
but I saw something called Leverage Lab. I'm
Yes.
so interested to learn more about that.
Yeah, Leverage Lab is my group coaching program. It was actually created from my experience of over a decade of working privately with my coaching clients. And during COVID, I had seen a real need to make an impact to a greater audience. So I created Leverage Lab as a group coaching, business coaching program that goes through my Stop Leverage formula framework. And stop leverage is essentially how to leverage yourself, time, organization, and people so that you're most productive and growing a successful business.
Yeah, people ask. I tell everybody I'm speaking Saturday. I'm going to start with people asset. We're in the people asset business. In money, assets go up, you're better. Assets go down, they're not. If your people assets going down, it's a game changer.
It is a
Uh,
game changer. I agree with you. And I think that, some people jump to wanting to hire
yeah,
and delegate and lead. But if you're not able to lead yourself and manage yourself or manage your own time, we add people and you're adding to the chaos. And so I really like to think about it about getting your house in order, getting yourself in order so that you can maximize those amazing resources, right?
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
be able to lead them and provide the best opportunity for them to succeed, because when they succeed, you succeed, your team exceeds, and everyone that your business services succeeds. And so yes, 100% important. And investing in yourself, I think, is just as important.
resources are the key. And that's where you come in, Amber, and your team having the resources of 15 years. And I
Yeah.
always tell people the longer somebody's done it, the more apt. Doesn't mean somebody's done 10 years and they're good at it, but experiences always leads over a lot of other things. So I love that and you look so young, but I won't get into that.
Well, I'll appreciate it and I'll take it.
Yeah, you got it. I'm sending your way. Audience is probably laughing right now. So time management sounds important what you do. How do I use time management or the audience to maximize my profits?
Yeah. So when you're able to manage your time, we're talking resources here. What's the
Mm,
most limited resource that we do not know how much we have of? Is time. And when you can manage that in a way, and honestly, Steve, I hate the word manage, but we all know time management, right?
Yeah.
You're not managing it. We all have the same amount of time, but really being able to make decisions about where you're going to invest your time. That'd be the longer definition of time management, is
Yeah.
consistently making those decisions. And in our lives and in our businesses, when we're competing for every distraction, everyone needs something from us, from our clients to colleagues to team members, you name it, they're looking for your attention and they're looking for your time. And really being able to be discerning about what is the best place to be investing your time based on your own goals and making the biggest impact. Of course, there's a lot of strategies to that. We can talk about any that you're interested in today. But with regards to specifically, your podcast and leading and serving with a servant's heart, I think that when we're looking to serve people, I've seen this time and time again. I've worked with amazing people that are incredibly talented because they can't get their time management in order. Their light that they're able to serve the world with gets smothered, right? They go out of business, or they're so stressed, or maybe their talents don't get to be seen because they're not prepared when they show up to a meeting. They're not on time. They're rushing around. And unfortunately, I believe that that's a way in which we're robbing the world of what we have to offer by not focusing on improving this skill set so that, quite frankly, we just get to show up our best.
Interesting. Productivity is a skill set. I've not heard that before.
Okay. Yes. I'm glad you caught on to that. So when I actually in, 2010, I quit my corporate job. I had been with them for over 10 years. I stayed on as a consultant. At that time, I had had my son, a lot of life changes, and I decided I wasn't going back. I took all my vacation, maternity leave. And I started my business, specifically consulting in the real estate industry. And that was when those seeds, right? With every good origin story, the dots are connected, but when you're in it, there's no dots, much less connected. But over time, all these dots were connected. And it was then that I was like, okay, what if time management and productivity is a skill set that can be learned? Like, I was actually trying to debunk the myth of it's your personality, people are just born that way, it either is or it isn't, it's genetics. And I really needed to understand that. So I actually delved deep into time management and productivity for 2 years, trying to prove, like, is this a skill set that can be learned? And I will tell you now, with nearly 15 years of experience, time management and productivity is a skill set. It's a skill set just like any of you that are listening here have needed to learn many skills when you started your business outside of the thing you're actually in business for. Whether it's speaking to other people, it's marketing, it's finances. At some point, you realize there was a skill that was needed, that your business needed. And I would argue that time management and productivity are one of those skill sets. And because it's a skill set, it's not like you either have it or you don't. It's a trajectory of learning it and changing the behavior and being aware that this is something that you're working on improving. And I think it's great news that it's a skill set, because that means anybody can choose to work on that.
You just lit me up like a firecracker because I talk about servant heart. That's a skill, to be a servant.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do it. Productivity, you're telling me, and I totally agree with you, it's a skill set. Anybody can learn it if they're willing to take the work with somebody like you and learn that skill, like a
Yeah.
mindset coach and different things. I love it. See, that's why I love hosting these, because you learn as a host. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share with others, and that's the whole idea of this servant heart. But I want to go back to time management, or time. Listen, because you're right, it's not managing time, it's time. I've heard business leaders say, always work on revenue generating activities. Is
Yeah.
that still true when it comes to time and time management? Let's just use that word again.
Yeah. As a small business owner, I think that it is, but I expand it. I actually expand it into 4 buckets that I believe a small business owner is going to find their highest value activities. And they are all around revenue generating or supporting others in ultimately generating revenue. The first bucket that a business owner is going to find their highest value activity is going to be marketing and visibility. So simply letting the world know what it is you do and how you could do it. And I want to just say with these buckets, the role in which you as the business owner show up in these areas are going to change. At first, you're going to be the doer, the manager, and the janitor in each of the areas. And at some point, you're going to be the leader of each of these areas, but the buck stops with you. And ultimately, you need to ensure this is happening consistently in your business. So, marketing and visibility. And this started as buckets because I did a keynote and I came up with this framework. And when I shared it, I know that we're doing video and I don't have the framework here, but I use buckets because I want you to think of the analogy of like overflowing, right? So you fill up the first bucket and it's overflowing. And when you're consistently showing up in the first bucket, it overflows, you get to go to bucket number 2, which is sales. And this looks different for every business. This could be from consultations, estimates, discovery calls, proposals, whatever that looks like in your business model of making the ask for the business. And your role, again, is going to be different, depending on what area of business you're in, but this is going to be definitely highest value. This will lead to bucket number 3. Now, bucket number 3 is definitely highest value, but for service-based business owners, meaning like not product-based, but where you, the business owner, are providing a service, this bucket is highest value, and it's the bucket that will sabotage all else, and it's servicing the client. We can tell ourselves this is highest value, it's closest to the dollar. This is exactly what I got into business for, was delivering this service. But if you're not aware that if you're only in that bucket at the expense of the other areas that we're talking about, then that's when you get on this like cash flow roller coaster. You look up and your pipeline's empty, and now you're scurrying to go do marketing and visibility so that you can have sales, and then you get the opportunity to serve your clients. So what I'd like to share with your audience here is really looking at what is that ratio of ensuring that you are not squeezing out marketing, visibility, and sales at the expense of just servicing your current clientele, because they all have a life cycle. They're going to be on their way and to the next, and you've done a great job. And then the last bucket is leadership. And this isn't as connected to revenue, except for, I think, Steve, I've told you, you're not going to be the only one in these 3 buckets. And so you're going to need other people that can show up and show up consistently. And as our businesses evolve and grow, depending on where your business is at, you may be spending a majority of your time in leadership. And that's going to be hiring, coaching, leading, having one-on-one meetings, giving feedback. And this last area came up because I was working on the ground, as you said, all this experience, right? On the ground. And I would have clients mumble and say things like, if I had to have one more meeting with a team member, if I have to do another hire, if I have to read one more resume, if I just something like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, they think that's getting in the way of their productivity. They think it's oh, I have to do that, but I want to be doing these other things, or I should be doing these other things. And I thought that's my mission with this framework, is to shift it. Where else can you invest your time and get a multiple back? Not many other places than investing in people. And this becomes your high value activity. So if I looked at a client or a business owner's schedule and I saw that a majority of their time was leading, I would say they're right where they're supposed to be leading and growing their company. So those are the 4 areas that I think any business owner will find their highest value activities.
Well, you just laid my whole life down for the last 3 years, because that last year was my best year ever, because I did the ask, which is sales. You don't realize sales is ask. Hey, Amber, I can help you here. Let's get you, whatever that looks like. I love that, because I've talked to people, and I've been one of them, that just serve. And they come and go, I'm not making any money. I said, did you ask? Oh, no, I didn't think about that. Well, then start asking people.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Right? Go ahead.
You are so right. I used to always make this joke about, okay, so you go to have coffee with somebody, you're networking, you're having this conversation. I'm like, that doesn't get to be chalked up to a sales activity unless you actually went for the ask. And the joke came from real life. I'm like, they've seen me on LinkedIn. They've seen my social media. I'm sitting across from them drinking coffee. If they wanted to work with me, they would say something. And the irony is the person across the table is like, I'm so busy and overwhelmed in my own world and challenges that they're not making those connections always all the time. And it's your job I believe it's our job to make the ask if we want to. And people want to feel wanted, like, oh, they want to work with me. And that is how you can actually categorize lunch or coffee as a sales conversation, is if you make the ask.
Yeah, and we won't go down a black hole. Maybe we have to come back for part two. But a lot of people walk away and go, "Why didn't they ask me? I'd like to work with them."
Yes.
And we don't know that unless we ask. I mean, we don't do the ask. I've had talked to people. Yeah, I met this guy. I want to work with him, but he never brought it up. Lost sale.
Yes.
Lost
Yes.
transact. Whatever words you want to use. I've got to say, Amber, you're really impressing the hell out of me. I don't know why I said it that way, because to start in the real estate industry, I've worked in it for a few years. It is hell, as you
Yeah.
know. Like here in California, I think every house that goes for sale, 15,000 realtors could sell that one home. That's competition.
Yeah, lots of competition. I started with a dream of wanting to be a real estate agent in high school. I actually interned for 2 years, my junior and senior year, and I went to college and got a degree in real estate and business management, and then
Oh,
went on,
wow.
and that was my corporate experience. Well, I sold. I was licensed at 18 and then sold, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is not for me. But what was for me was the operational side. And so that's where I gravitated towards until I went into business coaching for real estate. And then I just transitioned that into small business, because time management doesn't matter the industry. We all need it. But yeah, real estate can be incredibly challenging, and it is the ultimate marketing visibility. Go for the ask, servicing the client that needs to see 50 homes before they make an offer. That framework fits perfectly in the real estate industry.
Yeah, it's really glorified as well. Somebody's listening. There's entrepreneurs, like I told you before the show, and business owners and people that might want to become entrepreneurs. They're not ready for you yet. They're going to reach out to her, because I would. But when they're not ready for it, what's one tip to start their productivity journey they can start today?
Yeah. So I look, the easiest way is to start being the observer of where you're already investing your time. And doesn't that sound much better than tracking your time? I'm sure we've all heard tracking our
Yeah.
time, but really all I'm asking is that you're the observer, just like you would watch your bank account. What are all the debits? Where's the money going? Does this reconcile at the end of the month? And, tracking and observing where you're investing your time, and maybe in relation to today's conversation around the 4 areas that I shared is, well, it takes a lot of other time to run our business. And I didn't say any of that. There is a huge other bucket that we absolutely need to show up in. But what we don't want is that the other bucket gets attention and filled first before, or at the expense of showing up consistently in these other areas. So absolutely start observing it. And then once you do, and you can do it neutral. And what I mean by that is look at it as data, and catch yourself when you start telling stories, because we all can get caught up in stories. And so if you can look at it as neutral data, then you can start making different decisions with where you're investing your time. And then lastly, just a shameless plug, if productivity and time management are your jam, or you want to improve on it, I would check out my podcast, Small Business Straight Talk, where I talk about all of this stuff every week.
Great segue, because I was just going to jump into that. And she's a great guest and a great person. And I love that. So what I'm hearing, somebody should go through it. I'm going to do it myself. Go through my calendar for the last month, look at every meeting I had, and maybe go, marketing's going to be green or red, sales green, serving clients is yellow, and mark those, and then count the data. I had 5 serving meetings. I had 2 sales meetings, and I had 100 marketing meetings.
Right. Which is data right
Very
there,
powerful.
right? Then you're like, oh, what's my conversion? It takes 100 hours to find, I think you said 5 sales meetings. Like, okay, well, what can I do to increase that conversion? Well, that's straight to productivity. I'm not saying 100 hours is wrong, but if you can get 8 sales out of it instead of 5, but how would you even know where to look to focus your time and energy on solving a challenge if you didn't see the data?
You just took finances and turned it into productivity. That's way cool, because that's
all
exactly what you do. Your
connected.
finances, right? They really are. Well, let me ask you this question. I'm going to ask you are an expert. This has been an incredible show, and productivity is a lost art. Now we know it's a skill set. So anybody listening, pass that on to anybody you talk to. Learn that skill set. And how could people find you or reach out to you or support you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find out all about my services. We mentioned Leverage Lab, but I also do one-on-one coaching. We have a lot of resources over at amberdelagarza.com. And then again, the podcast, Small Business Straight Talk.
Yeah, fantastic. She's done over 300 shows, so she's rocking and rolling. So as I told you before the show, I want to get personal.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
looking
get
forward to
personal.
this.
So you have reservations at a restaurant, a
Okay.
table of 4. Of course, you're going to sit in one of the chairs. In the other 3 chairs, who would be in those seats, dead or alive?
Oh,
Why?
oh my
And what food would you order?
Okay, well, the first answer is the last question. It would be Mexican food. I love
Beautiful. There we
guacamole
go.
and all things Mexican
Oh,
food.
I'm sitting with you then.
Okay, yeah, I can answer that one. And honestly, my first answer would be my husband. I want him sitting there. I think I can't even say enough about our partnership in life and just everything. He's a great advisor. And who else would I have? Oh my gosh, I wish I could have prepared for this. I would probably have, I don't even know who else to say. I'm bombing this question for you, Steve.
You're not bomb. No, and I don't ask the question before because I want people to see your smile, your face has changed.
Yeah,
You're excited
I
because
will
this
say
is.
this. The
Go
people that
ahead.
would sit in that seat have changed over my life and how they serve me and show up. And so I've had mentors and I've had people that I look up to, but I think there's always a season to and a reason why I would learn from each of those people. And right now, I think the people I would have are people that would, say, what's next? Like, someone's going to talk to me about crypto and the economy. Like, I'm really interested in that. I want someone to be talking to me about, transitioning into retirement and all those opportunities. But that just happens to be like the things that are like right now on my heart and like my personal goals. And I don't have a specific person, but really like how could I connect with them and learn from other people?
Very good. I love that answer. It's the first one ever, but it hits home. But you're a sponge for learning, and that's what we learned
Yeah.
just now. And family's important to you, and that's why your husband would be there. And that's a beautiful thing. Amber, I want to thank you so much. You are a blessing to business. Yeah,
Thank
you get
you.
paid what you do. We all should. But you know what? You have a servant's heart. You're giving away free stuff, and reach out to her, find the free stuff. Reach out to me if you can't find her. Pop it in the show notes. In the comments of YouTube, or when
Yeah.
she comes on the podcast, I'll reach out to her. This has just been incredible because productivity is pushed aside. I talk to many business people every week. You're the first one to take productivity to the next level. So I thank you so much. And audience, listen to this or watch this again. You're going to learn a
I
lot.
I appreciate it. I have made it my life's work. So those are very kind words and I really appreciate it.
Amen. I love it. And don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You'll see my big old head on your 70-inch screen, but you'll see a beautiful guest like Amber. She doesn't know this, but she's going to get invited to my TV show. See it on Roku, Apple TV, Samsung, all those streaming TV show stations. Jump on it and learn more about business and life and do great things. And, me and Amber want to thank you all so much for watching and listening to this podcast. And we do look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everybody.